Oh, we are live.
It
There we go.
is.
Lana, how are you?
I am good. I am here.
Good. Yes, you are. You are
Yes.
here. And of course, we appreciate that. Start off the show here. Thank you for joining Lana and myself, Black and White, with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. As I have learned, we have to ask the crowd to subscribe and like the video. So if you could do that for us,
Yes.
we would definitely really appreciate that. We got a ton of things to talk about today, but luckily, Jack Smith and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the rest of the left wing apparatus put together some fake charges against
Yes.
Donald Trump,
Right.
and he is now indicted for the unbelievably the third time. And this time it is for January 6th, which is, I mean, for me was an obvious one. And the fact that it took as long as it did tells me it is as detailed as it could possibly be,
Right.
and everything that we should see coming out, because we saw a whole January 6th committee,
Right.
a bipartisan one, even with a couple of Republicans on there.
Mhm.
And we saw a lot of stuff come out. And while watching it, most of us with the capacity to understand what actually happened wondered, how is this guy not indicted? And now it's happened.
Right. I'm just kind of sad that um like it took Merrick Garland so long to pass the baton
Yeah.
to Jack Smith. I don't know if they were trying to find who they wanted to use. It just seems like it took so much time because now we're under these deadlines and this crunch to get, Florida. That is not going to happen. That documents case before the next election. It's impossible because you're dealing with the security, the documents, national security, who can look at them. People have to get, permission, all of that. This one is going to take us right up to the line, but it's going to have to be a speedy trial. So thank God it's in DC. So hopefully
Yes.
they can push it through.
Yeah, I think we have a good chance of it being what I guess would be considered a speedy trial.
Right.
In this one, you're probably right that the other one, the documents case, may not happen until before the election. But you never know. I mean, we have a Trump appointed judge on the documents case, and she's already proven to be a little sketchy on some of
Right.
the rulings that she made. And I think it probably was something that pushing it out until May was probably something that she probably thought that this might be a perfect time, because you can delay it probably from there, especially now that we have more indictments that have been added on top. There's a lot of moving parts there, but let's start obviously with I am starting because I made the mistake last week. I said every podcast I'm going to be on, regardless of whether it's mine, anybody else's, or I am going to mention what a phenomenal job Joe Biden has been doing. And I didn't do it last week, and I'm doing it before we start the show this week. Joe Biden has been a phenomenal president, and anybody that does not have the same opinion there, you're either biased, you have some sort of partisan issue with Joe Biden.
Right.
But Joe Biden has done an excellent job. If you look at every economic number that has been going on under his presidency, and I've said before, I'm not saying that he's responsible for every single bit of it, but I promise you, any president that had these economic numbers would be beating their chest, raising their hands in celebration. Now, of course, we're not where we need to be quite yet, but it is what has happened economically is really even shocking the so-called experts.
Right. But he saved us from a recession because now they're actually saying they don't believe it's even going to happen. It's funny. I was in the grocery store the other day. Yesterday was the other day. And I'm looking at like the snacks and I saw they're starting to come down a little bit and they're having the deals again. You know what I mean? Where you get 2 for $5. Like that just was not happening maybe 6 months ago. It was what it was. And cereal, eggs, all of that was so much, but the prices are ticking down a little bit more. So I was like, thank you, Joe. Like,
Let's put the stickers on the "I did that," to on all the prices by, and again, we're not where we need to be. There
of
is no, and
course,
my
yes,
fear is, there are a lot of people saying, "Well, there is not gonna be a recession." We're not. I don't think anybody knows that. I've,
true.
um, sort of compared this to watching. I'm a big sports fan. I could sit there and watch sports experts give me their take on the game and what they think the score is going to be. Just because they're so-called experts doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to be what the score is.
Right.
But my fear would be is if that somehow in the next 6 months or so we do start seeing a recession and jobs start to be lost a little bit here and there, that you're almost going to be able to look back and go, you guys were celebrating a little bit too early. But for right now, I'm
Right.
going to celebrate because there's nothing that's going to happen to me if I celebrate early, other than
You
maybe.
know what could happen? Like seriously, and they're doing you're right, and I know we have to move on, but they are doing a good job because they're still doing those incremental increases
Yeah.
with it. So that's a good thing that they're like, okay, we're just gonna skip this one. They're still doing it. But AI,
Hmm.
that introduction, I think, is going to start to change things a little bit for us because did you hear? Like, I forgot what grocery store it is that's totally AI, like it's no people in there that's waiting on you. Like it's, it's just
I have not heard of that, but I don't. That might freak me out a little bit. And I'm all for convenience. I was talking to my brother the other day. We talk about Amazon, and Amazon is. I mean, there's a lot of bad things to say about Amazon, but there's a lot of great things to say about
I've been
Amazon.
getting very mad. The past few items I've gotten from Amazon, it's like they're not packing them right and they're just throwing them and they're exploding. Like
Really?
my hair stuff, a thing of like a gel, right? I get it. I opened a package and it wasn't even in a box. So it was in like a manila envelope and it was all over it. So like it's hard to get somebody like to talk to you on the phone. And then she's like, well, can you send back the damage? I'm like, absolutely not. How? What do you want me
Yeah.
to scoop it out of
Yeah,
this?
you're right. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but and then the other day I bought dry shampoo for the dog. That too, just in
Really?
like one of them containers, and like it's just seeping, all of it seeping out of it because they're not packing it. I don't know if it's the one day the thing that you want it fast, and maybe they have it in the warehouse. I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know, but
Well, let's say Amazon sucks now, though. So how about that? I mean, I understand why you would, the hair product
I
stuff for you
still love
would be
them. I
important.
still
Yeah.
love them. I
Yeah. Yeah.
still love them because I can get, the dog food overnight and stuff in the
Right.
toilet
Yeah,
dish.
exactly. I mean, they do. Let's say everything I've ordered so far, and even if I have to send something back, I don't want to turn this into
Yeah.
any kind of Amazon
I know.
pitch, but anytime I have to send something back, it's the easiest thing in the
Yeah,
world, and they credit it. But anyway,
yeah, yeah.
let's get to the big news. I'm going to share a screen here, and I hope this works. I think it will.
Hi,
Ronnie.
Steph. I think that says Steph. I can't. I don't have my
Yeah.
glasses on.
Yes.
Hi,
Steph. Actually, if
Steph.
do you remember? You remember Steph? She was
No.
on the podcast with you, me, and she was on with it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
hi,
you
Steph.
remember her. Okay, so I'm going to switch screens here. I'm assuming I'll still be on the screen. Am I still on?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So Donald Trump has been indicted for a third time. Let's go a little bit over the article here. A grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump on Tuesday for a raft of alleged crimes in his brazen efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The latest legal and political aftershock stemming from the riot at the U.S. Capitol 2.5 years ago. The 45-page, by the way, I love reading these indictments. I can't wait to read this one. I don't know. I love reading the indictments. I listen to every second of that phone call that Trump made to Raffensperger and Atlanta. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So I can't wait to read the indictment. But anyway, the
Mhm.
4-count, 45-page indictment accuses Trump of 3 distinct conspiracies,
Mhm.
charging that he conspired to defraud the U.S.,
Yep.
conspired to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspired against people's rights.
To
So
disenfranchise voters, like the nerve of you. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
What?
it is. Let's do this role play with me here for a second, Lana. All
Sure.
right. I want you, let's go back to 2015 before all this craziness has happened. Okay. And you own a movie studio. All right. And I'm coming in to pitch my screenplay to you. And the screenplay goes like this: there's a guy who is going to be revered that is foul mouthed. He is a lifelong con man. He has ruined every single business he's put his hands on. The only reason why he has money is because his dad passed away and he received a large amount from that. He's scammed his way through life. He is somehow revered by evangelicals, and he is going to run for president of the United States. He somehow beats one of the best candidates in the history of this country. Then, after 4 years, he gets beat in an election, and then he starts basically a riot to overturn the election. And then subsequently he is charged 5 different times and will be facing trial 5 different times within maybe a year and a half period. How quickly would you call security to have me removed after pitching that idea as a movie?
Like, it's crazy. Like, it doesn't even sound believable. And that's why it's so crazy that MAGAs don't believe it. Because who's making that? Like, who can even put in their head to do this to one person? You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're like, oh, this is all, it's a witch hunt. All of it?
Yeah.
Like, if you, all of these, like, it doesn't even make any sense.
But all of this is a witch hunt. But the one thing that they have a text message of Hunter Biden saying the big guy is Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. He's gotta be in jail.
He's like the mastermind, but he has dementia. Like, make it make sense, MAGA. It's like, that just makes no sense. Which one is it?
Yeah, I do. Did you see the witness that they called in, Hunter Biden's business partner, Devin?
Yes.
I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry.
I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, but he basically came in and said, "Yeah, I had business dealings with Hunter Biden. Every once in a while, he would act like he was some big shot with his dad, but there was nothing between me, Hunter Biden, and his father. No business dealings."
Right.
And these guys like Jim Jordan and James Comer will still go on the channels and go, I think we're gonna get them, and they're like, well, they just basically said, and they're like, no, we'll figure something else out.
They had to, right? Because all they were doing today was deflection. So you knew it was coming today. Like, you felt it, because they were like, on my timeline, it was like, who's Trump's old doctor, Ronnie Jackson.
Yeah, Ronnie Jackson.
Bobart, and I think MTG, like, all in a row, talking about the same thing on my timeline. I'm like, oh, they're afraid this is happening today. Like,
by the way, I want to add that in my movie script that there is a woman in Congress who actually had an interview on a major network news program, 60 Minutes, where she said that Democrats were pedophiles, and then you have other people saying they drink blood of children, and
it's just can we go back to this indictment, because it's so stunning that there are 6 co-defendants, and in the co-defendants there are attorneys. Like, are you serious right now? You got Rudy, of course, you have Eastman, you have the crazy Sidney Powell. Like, how it's really true, like, making attorneys get attorneys, because this is insane right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is insane's really the only word. You shake your head and you're like, I just don't understand how. And there's even some people that I have spoke to that have some modicum of intelligence, that something, but they still are arguing against all this, and it just blows my mind. I can't wrap my head around it.
Like, they didn't hear it. Like, if somebody's saying there are tapes, are you not gonna Google to say, "Oh my god, let me hear what it," you know what I mean? Like, it's this just that simple. We know Fox isn't playing it, we get it, but it's just that simple. Just a simple Google. They're saying he's on tape. Let me see for myself.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's almost like if you avoid the subject, it didn't happen kind of thing, and that's
Yeah,
probably what it is. In fact, I saw a poll
yeah.
not that long ago that, um, there was a stunning amount, when I say stunning, even 15 to 20% of people, when asked about the documents case, said that Donald Trump didn't even have documents in his house. Donald Trump actually admits that he has documents in his house,
Yeah.
but you have 20% of people saying no, he didn't even have them in the house.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, and they're lying. Like, they're lying because at first he was like, they
crazy.
planted them. They planted them. So everyone was saying they planted the
Oh yeah,
documents. And
yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
they were my documents. They're his documents. Oh no, I declassified. Like, what the God, my head is spinning.
It truly is amazing. Well, over the last week, we also had a few. As we spoke about earlier, we had a couple of extra indictments added to the documents case. 3 new federal criminal charges, and a third defendant was added. You know, first, everybody that surrounds
Yeah,
themselves,
yeah.
or Donald Trump surrounds himself with or brings into the
Everyone.
fold is going down at some point. The
Yeah,
poor maintenance guy,
yeah,
his life is now fucked
yeah,
because what he did was he found a couple of expendable people
yeah.
that he said, just get these 2 idiots to
Yep,
delete, to, get, and, we'll just let them take the fall for it if they get caught.
yeah.
But I don't know if you saw the details of some of
The
these
flashlight.
clowns trying to.
The flashlight.
This gentleman's name is Carlos de Oliveira, and he was the head of maintenance, and he in cahoots with that Walter Nada, the other clown who
Yeah.
refuses to give Donald Trump up. They got in touch with each other and they met up in an obscure location. Oliveira walked for 20 minutes through the bushes on the northern edge of the Mar-a-Lago property to meet Nada at a property adjacent to the club. Oliveira walked back to the IT director's room and then walked back through the bushes to where he had met Nada. And this is all in order to figure out a way to delete any surveillance video. And the beauty of this is they got caught on surveillance video trying to delete the surveillance video. You just can't. You know what? This actually, maybe the script is a comedy.
Hmm. A horror movie slash comic because it's just
Yeah.
like this is just oh my, it just leaves you speechless. Like I don't even know how to feel about it, right? Like I'm definitely happy all of this is happening to Trump
Yeah.
because he deserves it and it should
100%.
come home to roost. But then it's just like I feel not bad for the people who are voting for them, but they're just so like not informed. Like a lot of them are just who they are, but a lot
Yeah.
of them just really are not informed. These 2 guys, De Oliveira and Walt Nada, I really think like what else are they gonna do? They're probably like they can't afford an attorney. So they probably believe that Trump's attorneys are really helping them.
Well, Trump said he was going to get them attorneys.
Yeah, right. And they think that they're going to help them because they're not going to be as smart as Cassidy, right? Cassidy was smart. She's like, wait, whoa, wait a minute. This doesn't sound like this is in my benefit. It sounds like
Right.
they're not going to know that, these 2 guys.
And when you say Cassidy, you're talking about Cassidy Hutchinson,
Cassidy, yes,
who
yes, yes.
testified in front of the January 6th
Right,
committee.
because remember he got her an attorney too. And then she was like, "Oh no, this is
Mm-hmm.
not for my benefit." And then she, told the whole story how she went to her dad, tried to ask for help, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so she got her own attorney. Like, that's crazy. And that's exactly what's going on with Walt and Otta. Like, these fools. And now it's too late because no one needs you to flip anymore.
That's exactly right. And I'm guaranteeing you that Jack Smith and his team probably gave them ample
Yes.
opportunity. And
Yes.
it said, oh, this
Yeah.
is your last try. And if
Yeah.
you say no, and they're so loyal to
Mhm.
Donald Trump, like so many people are, but
Yeah.
everybody that's loyal to Donald Trump either detaches themselves from Donald Trump and then winds up going on either social media or other news networks and
Right.
saying what a nightmare this guy was.
Right.
Part of that's noble, part of it's kind of like fuck you.
Mhm.
But at least you are at least you're calling it out.
Right.
Or you have these other people who just are going to go to the death for him, and some of them so pathetically, like a Lindsey Graham or a
Ooh.
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Lindsay?
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. This Lindsey Graham goes on the floor after January 6th and says, I'm done with him. That's enough. I've had enough of this Trump. And then 2 days later, he's like, Mr. Trump, what do you need me to do? Kevin McCarthy, same thing. This
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I'm over. He's
Yeah.
actually recorded on a phone
Yeah.
call saying that we think he should just step aside,
Yeah.
all that stuff. 2 days later, he's at Mar-a-Lago kissing
Right.
his ass. And
Yeah.
it's pathetic. And these guys, it's under my impression that all the MAGA men are supposed to be these macho, big time, alpha males.
Right.
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I see a bunch of pussies, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
But,
do.
I mean, it's the projection. Like, and so is Trump, right? Because those are the people who rape and
Yeah,
sexually assault, right?
yeah,
So that's who he is. He is a pussy. Like, he's
yeah,
a punk.
yeah, yeah. He really is,
Well,
and
with some money
yeah, I mean, it's
and
it, it
influence.
it's quite a scene, and I just can't even I can't even bring myself to imagine what 2024 is going to be like.
Yeah.
It's going to be the strangest, partially saddest, partially happiest,
Right. Right.
time in American
Yeah.
history.
Right. Right. It is definitely like it is a weird feeling that we're going through. And speaking of Lindsay, notice how Lindsay has been quiet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
S-
Yep.
I remember he made that phone call.
Well, Fannie Willis
Yeah, sorry. Segue.
is preparing herself, and I'm assuming Fanny's preparing herself for a little bit of Rudy. You know,
Yeah. And
she is.
Lindsay.
I mean, you talk about a woman who seems and looks determined.
Yeah.
It's definitely Fannie Willis, and it is. You could call it a witch hunt all you want, but at the end of the day, you do dumb shit, you're going down for it,
Right.
period. I mean, they're
Right.
not going after Donald Trump because they don't like him. And this other thing, this idea that drives me insane all the time is where I hear people go, Donald Trump may be going to prison unless he cuts a deal with Jack Smith. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? What deal do you think he can cut with Jack Smith? Is the deal that you think that we're scared that he's going to run for president, and if he announces that he won't run, we'll let him off? I want him to be the nominee.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even think there would be a deal for him. But these crimes are really serious. Like, think about that shit. He wanted Pence dead. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
He wanted lawmakers dead. He didn't care. He sat around for 177 minutes chilling,
Yeah.
watching it unfold while people begged. He
Yeah.
didn't care if they died or not. People did die. Ashley Babbitt, who they're like making a martyr,
Yep.
died because she drunk the Kool-Aid. Like,
It's so funny is that they somehow blame the left for Ashley
right.
Babbitt's death.
And that's
Ashley
true.
Babbitt is dead because she was misled
Right.
by a lifelong con man. Period.
Yes.
End of
Yes.
story. That's the
Yes.
reason why she is dead.
Right.
And she, it's that, fuck around and find out kind of
Right.
thing. I mean,
Right.
and this oh my God, when they try to compare it and saying she was an unarmed person and she was shot is one of the most ridiculous and disgusting things. Now, Lana, ask me or tell me if I'm wrong here. Let's say there is a black man who is unarmed and there is a police officer in front of him. Okay. And let's say this black man has 100 people behind him, and all of them start charging the police officer, and the police officer shoots the unarmed black man. Would that upset you, or would you say the cop had the right to do that?
He might have the right?
Of
Like, I don't,
course.
I mean, it would upset me because this is a black man. What the fuck you doing?
Yeah, right.
But then you understand it. Like there are factors behind it. You can't go to the Capitol with a mob. But here's the other piece: if there were a mob of black people, they wouldn't have got in.
That
So
is 100% true.
they would
And
have been stopped at the stairs, so it would have never happened.
if for some reason, and this analogy has been used a billion times, but it's still worth bringing up every single time. If this were, say, Obama, or if it was somebody, of course, we all know it would never be Obama. It wouldn't even be the worst, like the third worst Republican, they would not do this. But let's say it's Obama, or let's say it's anybody else, and they were setting up, and you knew it was going to be a large group with black people, white people, but you saw a large group of black people were coming with them. You know that the National Guard would have been there, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, everybody would have been there.
Absolutely. And Obama would have never ran again. Like, he would have just been like, I'm just going to keep my black ass somewhere hidden. Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Trump is just like, I'm going to keep climbing.
No question. Well, I hope Ron DeSantis is not in charge when this is supposed to go down in the history books, because he will probably ban this story from any history. But yeah, so it's possible. I mean, I've looked a little bit. I haven't seen everything. Do you think we're going to see another indictment this week, or is she going to let it settle a little bit?
So I think her grand jury meets Thursday.
Let me see here. Let's see. Fani Willis has confirmed, after 2.5-year investigation, she is ready to go with a decision that could result. This is another racketeering conspiracy charges against Trump and allies. And like you said earlier, Lindsey Graham, Rudy Giuliani. It wouldn't be shocking to see their names involved in that too.
Right.
Trump himself predicted that on Monday he would be indicted any day now. Now that was in relation to the Capitol, the Capitol riots, and obviously that came true. Let me see. Let's see. Figures show that Trump is.
She may not, because he's being arraigned Thursday, and he's got to go to DC. So I know she's not going on. Sorry to interrupt you. On
no.
Line of Jack Smith, but I know that her grand jury's meeting Thursday. But I also know that they just subpoenaed someone else,
right?
That reporter, Chidi, whatever.
Correct. Yeah. And there's reports too of Mark Meadows possibly flipping too. You'll even get these cases mixed up. Yeah.
That's why Mark Meadows. You see, Mark Meadows ain't nowhere in any of the stuff.
Another quiet.
He's not a co-defendant.
Yeah, him, Lindsay, and Rudy are probably having a lot of drinks with each other right now, going, "What flipped, for sure. Why did we do this?" Yeah,
Rudy definitely has talked to maybe both of them, because Rudy's not. There is no hair dye in prison for Rudy, so
Now, despite did I read this right? It's going to wind up being we're at 70 different counts that Donald Trump could be facing, and despite that, he has a monster lead in the race for the Republican candidate for president. I mean, it's interesting. It's again, we try to make sense out of it. I don't think that we can, but it's going to be interesting, though, to see how Donald Trump's going to be able to sustain this as all the indictments start to pile up, and all the court appearances and everything else. I mean, he's going to have to cancel campaign stops in lieu of court, appearances. And how he's going to do that, I don't know. But I will tell you this: forget about. I love Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas. I've seen this magician, Shin Lim. He won the America's Got Talent.
Is that
Unbelievable.
the short?
Yes,
Yeah, I just saw
yep.
him on something, I don't know.
Yeah,
Some morning
he's
show he was on.
unbelievable. Take him, take David Blaine.
Yeah.
If he somehow gets out of this, out of all these indictments and out of all these counts, this guy will be the greatest magician
It's
in the
true.
history of he would put the Who in Houdini because
It's
he,
true.
how is this guy? And there's a part of me, small part of me goes, this guy's going to get out of this, isn't he?
Right. I mean,
Somehow.
right, because it only takes just one juror, but that's why, with each indictment, you have multiple counts, and that kind of helps, right? So,
Yeah.
like, even if they all don't agree on one count, maybe they
Yeah.
will all agree on another count. That would give him some prison time, right? Like that kind of protects us. Fannie Willis, that's a state case.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's
Y-
that's
Yeah.
a
I'd also, I want to add to my movie script as we go along
okay.
that Donald Trump or this fictional president in my movie gets arrested. And then during that arrest, he somehow wins the presidency
Oh my
and is
God.
able to take himself out of jail by doing that. I mean,
Can
could
you
you imagine?
imagine?
That's a possibility.
That just highlights the ridiculousness of our laws. Like
Yeah.
it's honestly, if you're indicted, you should not be able. I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but you should have to go through the trial process, be and then come back and run again. How can you run when you're indicted? That means that there's some cause there that you could have done some things. Like, what what kind of laws are these?
The founding fathers did come up with a lot of great shit, but I don't think they came up with the because there's always this gray area. Every time something like this happens, well, nothing like this has ever happened, so there's no necessarily a law that
Right,
says you can't run for president if
right,
you're, if you're,
right,
at least the gun nuts here will even agree. If you're a felon, you can't buy a gun, but if you're a
right.
felon, you could run for president of the United States.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. And again, I think we talked about this before. Trying to understand is something that will, drive you absolutely insane. But
Yeah,
you talk about this is another thing I was reading. Donald Trump's having issues. He's raising a lot of money, but he has to take this money and he has to spend it on legal fees. So even if you're raising money, a lot of your money, it's you can get what is it? It says that the committee raised $53.9 million during the first half of the year for his presidential campaign, but I think he spent like 52 of it on legal fees. It's crazy to me. Let me see.
wow.
But reports filed on Monday showed that some of his committees are spending about as much as they are taking in. So through joint fundraising committee raised 53.9 million over the first 6 months of the year. It spent more than 52 million over the same period. The Trump Save America Leadership PAC, which had more than 100 million at the beginning of the year, now has about 3.6 million in cash on hand after it became the vehicle used to pay for millions of dollars in legal bills for the former president, his aides, and associates. I mean, could you imagine giving? And again, I've heard this a billion times, and it's been said a billion times. We're not saying anything new here, but how could you be so gullible as to give money to a guy who claims to be a
Right.
billionaire, and part of that money is going towards his legal fees?
It's unbelievable, right? And that's why he's out there saying now, I'm getting indicted for you. It's like I'm taking one for the team. Everything I'm doing is for you. So these people really think that he's protecting them some kind of way. Like it's just, and then Melania's out here. Did you see that report?
I sure did. In fact, I got that right there. If you want to say it, or
Oh, you could go ahead. I'll just comment on hers.
let's see. The Save America PAC that has been handling many of his legal bills, that committee still found the funds to pay Melania Trump's former stylist. So Melania's stylist has been paid by the Is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy to me, and it's also crazy to me that um, you know, a lot of the stances that the right likes to take
Right.
seems to be inconvenient to them at times now because they're supposed to be this party of law and order.
Right.
The party of law and order obviously does not necessarily care about the law or order when it comes to Donald Trump. As you said
Right.
earlier, you really could look this stuff up yourself if you really want to. If you really said, you know what, there's I don't believe any of this stuff. I think it is a witch hunt against Donald Trump. I love the guy, but I don't want to sound like a
Right.
complete moron. So let me at least do a little bit of
Right.
fact checking on the I don't even want to say the other side because this isn't the other
You
side.
just go on your local news and get,
Yeah.
like, the basic straight line of what is happening right now, and they're not even doing that. It's
Yeah, and to do it, it's pretty simple. And you know, maybe you can what I'm hoping in this whole scenario here is that you're not going to change the minds of the mega magas. It's just not happening.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
But you do have independents who are on the fence. And I do still think you have some of these Republicans that held on,
Right.
maybe like a Chris Christie sort of Republican, even though why do I have this horrible feeling that after the election, they asked him who he voted for. He said, I
He's
still,
gonna say Donald
although he
Trump.
did say he wasn't going to. He already
Oh,
said he wasn't. So,
well, that's
um,
I mean, because what? And you know what's funny? They talk about two-tier justice system that they're always co-opting some issue. But think of all the criming he's done and they let go because I mean, I recall campaign funds like the excess that they still don't know what happened to the money. Like there was
correct.
so many things that were going on. He was overcharging his security to stay at his hotels. Like there was so much going, the trademarks, like Kushner, like it's so much of the things that they just probably was like, you know what? In comparison, we're just gonna let these things go and deal with this stuff. It was a whole bunch of crime.
Yeah, and the thing where if you still want to do a little bit more research, find out that Donald Trump has been criming, as we say, before he was president. There's been
Yes!
plenty of things that he has been accused of, but again, he's gotten away with it. I mean, was there a witch hunt by the real estate moguls in New York who were going after him? Is that what was going on? I mean,
Right,
it, it,
right. When he
it-
was housing discrimination, is the what was that? Somebody what going at? No, they did it.
yeah,
They
yeah.
absolutely him robbing from his charity.
Correct.
Yeah,
Him, overinflating his properties on his
right.
taxes. Yeah,
And not
for his
paying
tax
taxes.
return. Yes, exactly.
And he said people who pay taxes are stupid,
Yeah.
but here we are trying to send Hunter to jail because he didn't. Well, actually, he paid the taxes back. He didn't file, but he paid everything back that he owed. Like,
I got news for you. He might be right. Paying taxes may be stupid because if you can get away with it, I
yeah,
mean,
he's true.
Jesus,
We can't get away with it, but
no, we definitely would never get away with that. But yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting week. It has been it's going to continue to be interesting weeks as time goes on. I can't wait to. Well, gosh, I said I can't wait. I can and I can't wait to see what the future holds for this country because as divided as we are, I think we're going to continue to be divided in this country. But there's also this idea that there's a big possibility of a civil war breaking out and all that stuff. I don't buy that. I don't think it is. I think people are going to stoke their anger for as long as they can. But I believe whether you're on the right or you're on the left, we're getting exhausted at some
yeah,
point. We're
yeah.
all getting exhausted and we're like, can I really do this anymore? I mean, I ain't going to jail for this dude. That's just not happening.
You would think, right? You would
Yeah.
think that they will all be like, aren't they? Even if we're tired, these lawmakers, not that I care, but they gotta be tired of caping from this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just constantly Kevin McCarthy and just the Bobarts, and just
Mhm.
all of just a constant saying he's innocent, he's away.
Yeah.
Like they gotta be fucking, even if they're grifting off of it, they must be going home like this fucking idiot.
Yeah,
Like they
no
gotta
question.
be.
Yeah.
So
Although Marjorie Taylor Greene still seems like she has a full tank of gas.
yeah,
She
yeah,
is.
you know what? She wants a part of the administration. So
Yeah.
and I guess if you look at it that way, they're all auditioning for that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how they get there.
Yeah, I mean, it appears, if just on paper, you would think, really, at the end of the day, does Donald Trump really have a chance to win? He does have a chance to win. I really do think he does. But there are people saying that this is going to help him. I think as time goes on, I don't think this helps him at all. I really don't.
I don't either. I don't believe the polls either, how they
I
have
don't either.
him tied with Biden, and Biden doesn't have the black vote. And I'm just like, y'all said that the last time.
Yeah.
And y'all can keep saying that, but we remember, and these kids remember, that the Supreme Court said no to their student loan forgiveness. We know that women's choices are on the line for medical care. Like there's so many things that are on the line that people are not going to sleep through it. I don't know who they be pulling. It ain't me.
No, I've never been polled in my
Oh
life.
no, right, exactly. So it's just a strange thing, and I think a lot of people just don't talk about it. They're just waiting to vote.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually was good polling for Joe Biden head to head with DeSantis and Trump over the last couple weeks. But again, how much stock can you put in that? I mean, it's exciting to see when you see it, but I think at the end of the day, especially since 2016,
Mhm.
we've learned that
Right,
that polling may not be as and
right.
there's been some, I will say, there's on the opposite side, there's been some pretty solid polling, but we were also supposed to see this huge red wave a few years ago.
Exactly, and we're
I,
not trending in those directions, right? Like, just in Wisconsin, isn't we just got a Supreme Court judge there
yep.
that's a Democrat.
That's correct, and she won overwhelmingly, just
Yeah,
like the abortion bill in Kansas won
right,
overwhelmingly, which was shocking for, I guess, Kansas and maybe some of the media. But
right,
if you were to ask me before I knew anything and they said there's an abortion bill in Kansas that they're going to be voting on, I'm going to say, well, I think the Republicans aren't going to like the outcome of that. That would have been my guess.
right.
That certainly turned out to be 100% true because it was a blowout.
Yeah, yeah, and no one's going to forget this because we're going to live it. Women are going to continue to suffer. They're going to continue to lose the ability to have children. They're going to continue to lose the ability to have abortions. Like it's just going to be horrific. Your trans kids are still going to be attacked. Like it's
Yeah.
just no one's going to forget these things when they go to the polls, and it may even be more.
Yeah, and I think this is where the Gen Z kids will come in, and if you want to call it "save this country,"
Right,
I'm not somebody that is threatened by a younger generation. It doesn't bother me that there's a world that they're going to want to live in at some point that may
yeah,
not be for me or you or people older or younger than us. Doesn't matter because we were younger at one point.
right,
My dad grew up in the 60s and he grew up during the civil rights movement and through all the different protests and stuff like that, and that pissed off a lot of people from the 40s and 30s, and
right.
and you just see how life evolves, and that's just what happens, and you can either accept it or you could sit in a little bubble and be pissed off about it and anger yourself for absolutely no reason, because most of the things that you're pissed off about have absolutely nothing to do with you. It
Right.
has nothing to do that affects you, but for some reason there's an internal mechanism that wants to piss you off about it, but you don't know why. At least if you gave me a reason why you were pissed off about
Right.
it, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, if it was a legitimate statement,
It never is. It
that's
never is.
the problem is that there isn't. So I think Gen Z is going to be really the one thing I do see on the right. I do see that they are trying to go after a lot of younger men, and even young black men too. I see that a lot, and I think they're trying to say, "Hey guys, this is the party for you because we're the alphas, we're the badass dudes that you want to be." But I think the problem that they don't realize with going after the younger guys like that. I was a younger guy before. They're just lazy. They'll get pissed and they'll
Right.
say all that shit, but they don't give a shit
Right.
afterwards.
They
They'll be
don't
like,
care.
yeah,
Right.
they'll wake up and the next day, like voting was yesterday, they'd be like, oh, dude, was that yesterday?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
won't know, they,
Yeah. It's not a big voting block, but I do know the last elections that black men did come out and voted for Biden. So
yeah. Oh,
hopefully,
there's no question.
yeah,
Well, and I'm talking about overall,
yeah.
black men overall, definitely.
No, they
I think
definitely
that
have the young crew because that's why they have like they're called like the whole tips and those guys because they got some new black grifters. I forgot
yeah.
what the guy's name was because he attacked me too. Like he said something about I said something about DeSantis and he came into my threads and I looked and I'm like, who the hell is this? And then like my friends were like, he's the latest, Republican black grifter dude, whatever. And he had like 300 something thousand followers. And all of a sudden, all of his army just like just like
Yeah.
almost on me, right? And they'll get those black guys.
Hmm.
What has Biden done for you? Biden's a racist and had pictures of him with I don't know the fuck Strom Thurmond. I don't know, like you know what
Yeah.
I mean. Like it's just, but who cares about those? It's like it's
Yeah.
not
Well,
even that many of them.
you're exactly right. And I think you're going to find either the ones that are, at least interested in politics at that age or they're educated, it doesn't matter what race. I mean, for the most part, you're going to look at it and go, that shit's crazy. I'm not voting for that.
Right.
Yeah, but there's, like I said, there's a section of young men, the people who will listen to everything Elon Musk says,
Right.
and people like that. And it's just, I do feel better about the younger generation
Yeah.
overall, and I think they're gonna help us out a lot. So, I mean, we definitely had a lot on this show, and it was great that because we were hoping last week at this time
Yeah.
that we would get the indictment. It took 1 week, and it happened right before the show, so we did get that. So before we go, um, in our little show here, we've done it for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And we want to, after time, we want to gather more subscriptions. We want to gather more likes. There was one little clip. I like to break the show into clips, instead of just putting
Nice.
it out there for, a whole hour. So you can watch the whole hour or you can watch it in segments and in clips. And there was one clip that we got just in our little, I think we have 22 subscribers now. And
Yay.
there was one clip that actually drew a little bit more attention than I even thought it would.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was there's a lot of country music fans who are not fans of us, Lana. Not at all.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We had over 900 views. Again, just for this small little show, that's pretty big. And we
Yeah.
had over 200 comments. And I don't know if you had a chance to go through any of the comments.
Oh no, no, that would have been too much. I would have wanted to respond. So
Let me tell you something. I responded to almost everyone, and I loved.
I,
I
I
love when people say. First of all, I love the positive comments, of course. I love the negative shit. I don't know why. I might be crazy.
no,
There
I
might be
love them
something
too.
wrong with me.
I can't do them on too many. I'll do it on Twitter. I can't do it on too many platforms. So it's just drive me nuts.
That's true. There may be a point where it may exhaust me, and I hope I get to the point, or it get to the point where it exhausts me. But boy, there was a lot of country music fans who did not like us, and a lot of it was riddled with spelling, grammar, and punctuation errors, of
Of course.
course. And you heard all the greatest hits, libtard,
Yeah.
woke, all
You're
the
racist. You're
that
racist.
we're racist. That's right. That was a
Yeah,
popular one that.
we're racist. We're
Yep.
dividing the country and stuff.
Correct, and a
The
lot of it,
podcast sucks. Just like,
there's a ha ha ha. You have two,
yeah, yeah,
likes and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and for me, I don't know. I ate it up and I loved it. I will say there was a couple of people that did not agree with us, and there was a guy in particular named Chuck. And Chuck and I had a little back and forth. It was a little contentious at first, but then it turned more into a respectful. We almost wrote damn books on this thing, and it was like almost too much. But Chuck Chuck, after the back and forth that we had, said, you know what? I don't agree with you. I do respect you. I'm going to subscribe to the channel. I assured him he is going to wind up still hating the show.
Yeah.
And it's probably overall not going to be for him. But
Right.
but the fact that you do have somebody that says, I'm willing to be open-minded. I can sit through an hour of shit that I can't stand. That's fine. You know what? And kudos to him, because I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could. I can't sit
Or
through an
he's
hour of Tucker
subscribing, he's not
Carlson
gonna
or
watch, or he's just but we'll take the subscribe. You can subscribe.
that's very true. And he may not watch at all. But you know what? The fact that he at least acknowledged
Subscribe.
that he
Right.
might watch is
Yeah.
something that we do appreciate. But
Well, Chuck, if you're watching, hey,
yeah. Hi, Chuck. Yeah, we do appreciate you watching. And
give a thumbs up, share this video with your friends.
100%. Make sure Chuck all your friends and tell them they can comment all they want to, and I'll try to get to it. In fact, there were some comments that you couldn't even see because they had, YouTube was banning them, and I was saying I don't care. You could check it off and
Right.
put them on there. I said I'll
Mhm.
put these on there. I don't give a shit. You
Yeah,
can say whatever you want. So
absolutely. Free country.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, this has been a very interesting day. Like I said, do you have anything else you would like to add before we go? Obviously, subscribe, rate, review. I also want to point out too, Lana has her own show on YouTube called The Quest Show. Please make sure you watch that. I have a podcast as well called Run's House Podcast. Lana's been a guest on my show a couple times, so please look for that as well on Apple and Spotify and all that other crap that you see. You used to put it out as a podcast. You don't do that anymore, right?
No. Like
Pain in the ass.
what I was doing is taking the show and then just taking the audio from the show and then putting it out as a podcast over on Buzzsprout or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's what I use, Buzzsprout, the same thing. Yeah, Chuck, go to Lana's Quest Show and subscribe to her show as well, please, if you
Thank
don't
you,
mind.
Chuck.
Yeah,
Before we
Chuck's
leave,
the man.
I do want to say rest in peace to Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah,
She passed away last week. That is really sad.
We had 4 that passed away over the last couple days. We had Tony Bennett, who died.
Yeah.
Sinead O'Connor, and we're not exactly sure of the
Her death, right?
Yeah, the reason why she passed away. I know there's been a lot of speculation.
Her son had committed suicide, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah. So that, and of course, Pee Wee Herman died.
Yeah.
He died of cancer.
Was it Reuben? Paul Rubens?
Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens. Okay.
Yeah, and there's one more. Who am I missing?
Oh man, today the lawmaker passed away from New Jersey.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, oh my goodness, the lieutenant governor in New Jersey, the Black woman. She's 71 years old.
I did not hear that.
She went into the hospital yesterday and she passed away today.
Huh. We'll look that up and we'll try to mention that next time. I guess a young man. Oh, there was another one too that somebody told me about that people may or may not. If you watch the Euphoria on HBO,
right.
The young
My
kid
friend just told me about that.
Yeah, 25 years old, and I think he had a father or something that may have passed away not too long ago. And again, there's been speculation on that, and you don't want to speculate, but it's just either way, it's an awful thing. Very sad.
Everyone, take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like, man, call a hotline if you're feeling depressed. It's been extra tough. We haven't had the help coming off of the pandemic. It's like we have more gun shops than places for your mental health. That's problematic.
Yeah, and that's a thing, and that's something that we all definitely should talk about. It is something that we keep talking about in this country, and in fact, the defense. And I'm not trying to go into a poignant conversation about depression and stuff, and then blaming the right, but they're always talking about it's not the guns, it's mental, it's mental health and all this stuff. If that's the case, where are the programs? There should be some sort of mental health facility in every city, everywhere you go, and it should be either very affordable or free.
Right. Where are the bills about this or legislation? Anything. They're not doing anything about it. And I stand by. I would love to see drop-in clinics for people who are just feeling away and who could just drop into a clinic and just talk to someone. I mean,
Yeah.
at least before they go into a gun shop and buy the gun. Like,
Right. Yeah.
maybe they could, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, and we live in a climate now where I think there is generated anger. That it's just there's anger that I mean I get angry at some of the shit that I see going on and doing it. But if you see that and you're somebody like me, and I'm lucky enough not to suffer from depression, but if you see that and
Right.
you are, I mean, coupling that together is just not. It's not healthy, and I do agree with you. It is something that we probably should put a lot more thought into.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, we're not getting any positive, like, kids don't like, people don't play, have good times. We're just stuck trying to get likes and clicks and
Yeah.
retweets, and it's just such a different world. We don't know how to socialize anymore. It's just really, or talk to one another. It's just
Yeah, I think, you can, I know you have kids, and I don't, you could probably see sometimes on the younger generation that it is a little different good growing up than when we did. I mean, you just
yeah.
go out, you play, you do your thing. I mean, every once in a while you might picked on at school or something like that, but you had friends, you had all that stuff.
You go to
But
play. My 14-year-old is not trying to
yeah,
go outside. It's like none of
yeah,
the kids. I don't see kids. When I hear kids outside, it's like, where's that?
yeah,
'Cause
right.
you don't hear them.
With the only thing you do every time you look at, I mean, literally every time I look up and I see somebody maybe under the age of 25 uh, doing this, they're always on the phone. They're all,
Yeah, on
they're
the
doing
subway,
something.
on the train. Yeah,
Yep.
sometimes I just look around. Sometimes I see people with books, and that makes me happy. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't read books on the train because, one, that means I'm gonna have to pull my glasses out my bag so I can't
We don't
see.
need to do all that. Yeah. Yeah, come on. That's too much of a hassle, too much of an inconvenience.
Doing
So,
all that.
fuck all that. But but yes, I agree with you there. So I'm glad we at least wrapped up the show on a
Yeah.
on not necessarily a positive note, but on a positive message. And as always, we appreciate anybody that watches this show now live. If you don't watch it live, we hope that you watch the replay. We'll break up some clips. Hopefully, we can generate some more controversy and nasty comments from somebody else. I mean, the algorithm kind of fucked us, Lana. I'm thinking to myself, we're getting all these views, but the algorithm sent it to the wrong to the wrong people. You know
Oh.
what? You know where I learned. And we'll wrap up. But how I learned where that video got sent out to an algorithm. It was sent out a lot to. You ever watch reaction videos where somebody reacts to
Oh,
songs,
yeah, 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 yeah.
especially younger kids? You see it
Uh-huh.
and they're reacting to songs and stuff like that. Well, apparently, because that song
Got
caused a lot of
you.
controversy, a lot of the
Right,
reactors were reacting to that song. And
right.
so that got attached
Ooh.
to their algorithm.
Okay. Yes.
And
Okay.
obviously, a lot of people who wanted to see the reaction. And from my
Right.
understanding, a lot of them were saying, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't. So you had a lot of people that sided with
Right.
Jason Aldean in that song. There's some fly that's flying around here driving me nuts. Um,
Yeah.
but but
That,
anyway,
yeah, the
that's how
algorithm.
I think they got it. Yeah.
That makes sense too, because you're like, okay, if I have 1,000, y'all could at least subscribe. Why is it 22? But we'll get there. It's just, I love
Um,
going in the background and seeing like exactly where the I know we're wrapping up,
yeah,
but
no.
where the viewers are coming from, you know what I mean? How it increases. Like,
Yep.
I love to see the inner workings of that. And if we get 500 subscribers,
Yep.
we can monetize. Well, we have to have 500 subscribers, like a million, like.
Well, from my understanding, I thought it was 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time.
No, I just looked at it
Did
because
you?
I was at 350, and it had the little thing. I'll tell you later. Wait.
I love that we're on show 3. We're talking monetizing, baby.
So, right. So eligibility 500. 500, you have to have, I think, at least 3 video uploads, but this is the thing, 3,000 watch hours,
Okay.
3 million public short views.
3 million public
3
short
M.
views.
Yes, I have 0. I don't even know what that is, but maybe
I
because
don't
I
know.
don't do shorts, so maybe you have to create shorts and you have to have 3 million views of your shorts. So you only need 500 subscribers, but you have to have I can send this to you.
Yeah,
We'll talk later because you should get for your phone, it's called,
I
YouTube Studio. Do you have that?
I have it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so if you go into that and then hit the earn button, it tells you exactly what you need.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at that. And like I said, I think right now you and I are doing this because we're passionate about what, our
Yeah, we don't
beliefs
wanna
are.
make any money from this. I was
Well,
just
we do want to make money from it.
I mean, yes, it would be nice.
Yeah.
These
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. I mean, I think at some point, because I promise you, we will have a ton to talk about in the next year leading up to
Oh,
the election next year. So, in
absolutely.
that journey, we're going to try to get as many subscribers and
Yeah,
likes and comments and all that stuff that we can. But at the end of the day, I enjoy doing this with you. I hope you
yeah,
enjoy doing it with me. And we're going to have fun with it. And again, if we change one mind or we get one subscriber like Chuck who
right.
doesn't want to hear a word that we have to say necessarily, that's what it's all about for right now. And then if for some reason we start to take off, which I do believe we can, we'll talk about
Yeah,
monetization,
guys,
baby.
stay tuned, and we'll even have some guests. We have upcoming elections,
Yeah.
so
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're gonna have guests. We're gonna do
yeah,
all that stuff. I think the first few episodes we want to get used to
yeah,
this, comfortable
yeah,
with how we're gonna present ourselves. I
yeah.
promise you, I'm not gonna have this ugly background forever. I'll at least look more professional and better,
Oh,
like Lana does. But
I'm not professional. I'm just my background just looks fake. It's like
I
it
like it though.
literally looks
Yeah,
like
it's
it's
definitely better than mine. So, again, thank you guys, everybody, for joining us tonight. Lana, of course, thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
the Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana
Yes.
Quest. Again, don't forget Lana, the Quest Show on YouTube, and you can join my podcast at Run's House Podcast on any of your favorite subscription outlets. And we will see you guys again next Tuesday at 8, right, Lana?
Yes, next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Hopefully, Fani will be with us.
Yes. And Lana's show, by the way, is on Thursday nights at 8
Thursday,
o'clock.
8 o'clock. Yeah.
Thursday at 8. All right. Join her, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.